Industrial Revolution was beginning, and working people were beginning to struggle against the growing business system, later the corporate system, and you see it in the labor press of the kind that I mentioned. There were people bitterly combating what they called the new spirit of the age. Gain wealth, forgetting all but self. That's not the way we live. We live cooperatively. We help each other. We have a high cultural level, which in fact they did, and it's all being destroyed. We're being degraded. And that turned into the Knights. That's one of the streams that led to the Knights of Labor, which was quite a mass organization, hundreds of thousands of people. It was destroyed. They tried to link up into a farmer-labor alliance, became the populist movement among the agrarian population, a quite lively labor movement. And I mean, in the 1890s, I mean, in the mining and steel areas like western Pennsylvania, they were running the towns. They had the mayors and so on. And then it was pretty much crushed by force right through this period. Knights of Labor were crushed by Jay Gould, and gang, security forces smashed up the strikes. They were never able to figure out a way of preventing scabs, strikebreakers, and they were used along with National Guard and private security forces just to smash up strikes. So people don't call the Knights of Labor or the Farmers Alliance anarchism. But these were huge popular movements which had kind of anarchist strains to them. They never heard of anarchism. If you look at factory workers right around here in New England, where the Industrial Revolution began in the 1840s, 1850s, I mean, they had a labor press, which was a very lively labor press in which working people were participating, artisans, young women from the farms, and so on. And a lot of it was anarchist themes. They never heard of anarchism. Workers those who work in the mills should own them. We don't want to. We're being degraded by the force of capitalist oppression. We should be free. We should have our free rights as humans. They're taking away our culture and so on. Very similar to the themes you get in the anarchist writings. There was also a parallel farmers' movement. Remember, it was mostly an agricultural society, but there was a huge spontaneous farmers' movement, actually rooted in Texas. It's hard to believe when you come back, and quite radical populist movement. The farmers were being wiped out by merchants, banks, and they were trying to find ways out of it. And as they tried to work their way out of it, they began to form cooperatives. First marketing cooperatives, later production cooperatives, finally even independent financial institutions to free them from, they didn't call it Wall Street then, from the New England, the Boston bankers and so on, the New England bankers who were strangling them. And they tried to unite, and they had just plain, mostly people without any formal education, just somebody had been to school for 2 years as what they called lecturers, going around most of the country organizing people and so on.